Titusville Playhouse has stunning audiences with an excellent production of Parade. We took a moment to speak with director Steven Heron about the show.
It's a passion. I mean, it's of course a show that's not done very often, and so being the artistic director, I was able to plug it in there because it was something that I wanted to do, and I think it's a show that is relevant today as it was 100 years ago, and something that as an artist we get to share something that's going to be moving for an audience member.
Yes, sir, I did.
9 times out of 10 we do Mary Poppins and Peter Pan and fun things, which is up my alley as well. But
is it important for Titusville to take a chance on something that's got such artistic resonance?
it's not a risk. It's our duty. It's our obligation. It's what makes theater something important in people's lives. It's such a universal theme. I mean, whether you're talking about the racism of blacks and whites, you can tap on it with the gay movement, the religious movement. I mean, there's so many things. It's just really teaching the audience and patrons to be accepting of something that may not be what they are.
The lighting in this show is superb.
Thank you.
How important was it to have such great lighting?
Oh my gosh, it was important because with this show you've got to be able to isolate and come down, because as a live production you're not allowed to give the audience what you get in a movie where they pan in and they get close. But with this show and proper lighting, you're able to pull the audience in closer to them instead of letting them see the whole picture.
And some of it is very eerie and foreboding.
It is, because it's an eerie and foreboding subject. Our dress rehearsal, I had two 14-year-olds who, at intermission, I go and say, "How you like it?" And they're Googling to find out the history of Leo Frank and Mary Fagan. I mean, there's the purpose of doing a show right there.
What did you tell your actors? They're holding in their acting spaces. They're not, and it's partly because of the lighting.
Right.
But why else would you want an actor to hold in their acting space?
I want the audience to come to them instead of them going to the audience. Me as a comic character actor, I'm always and so I basically vomit upon the audience when I perform, and I wanted them to do exactly the opposite, be quiet and reserved, so an audience member sits up and goes forward instead of being repelled from it.
That's what he said?
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty bold musical number.
Right. But there's not much movement in it. Do you notice that?
I guess not.
Hardly any movement. The ensemble, which does come in, all they have is a slight sway, and it stops, because I really did not want the show to be choreographed. I wanted it to be natural. After I saw this, I was reading online what some of the New York critics said about it,
mm-hmm. and they weren't positive.
Right.
They were talking about it being cold, not having an emotional heart, really. But I didn't feel that way with your production.
Well, thank you. They revamped the show in I think it's 2008 to put on the West End, which is the licensed show that we do now. The show can actually be done with 14 people, because that's all you really need to tell the story.
So get rid of all the trappings, and you were telling me before about there's a lot of themes, and of course that will create an intellectual barrier.
I choose not to say barrier. I choose to say it spawns talk and discussion.
It's probably the most artful bit of directing you've done.
Well,
Am I
thank
right
you very
about
much.
that?
I'm very happy with it. Sometimes it clicks and sometimes it doesn't. And this time I was fortunate enough it clicked.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
This is Pam Harbaugh for BrevardCulture.com.